Ireland has a big invasive species problem. That is no secret. So today I want to see if it's possible to use Claude Code to create some sort of prediction mechanism. Where are these invasive species most likely to spread to next? Is it possible? Let's see. So let's jump straight into it. As you can see here, I'm in the VS Code, which is an IDE. So this is where I'll be using Claude Code instead of in the terminal or in the web app. I just prefer it as you can have all your file structure on the left-hand side. Just better visually. Anyways, as you can see here, I have a very simple product.md, which is usually the way I like to start out these things, specifically for larger apps and builds such as this. This product.md will basically contain all of the information that Claude Code needs to actually build the web app. Instead of just trying to one-shot it with a prompt or such, I find it easier to use a product.md. It has a lot more context. I can refer to it a lot more often. And I think it's better for it to try and form a plan from this document and then ask you questions and then follow up. It's just my way of doing things. So we'll see how it works out. So let's run through what's actually in this product.md document, what's the context, and what is it actually going to tell Claude Code to build. So to start with, I want to try and keep the context quite simple for Claude Code so we can build something as the foundation and then kind of complexify the app. So the basic idea at the start is going to be having a map of Ireland with pressure zones or occurrence zones of the invasive species themselves. As you can see very simply here, red is going to be the highest occurrence zones or the highest pressure zones. Amber is going to be the intermediate occurrence zones, and green is going to be the lower pressure zones where the invasive species are less so found. As you can see here, GBIF is going to be our primary biodiversity data source for this project. Now, GBIF is actually really useful because it's free. Its API is public and available to use, unlike some of the Sentinel data. Now, the next kind of most important aspect of this build will be the actual map itself. What we're going to use is something called OpenStreetMaps. Again, public API, super easy to use. Now, as you can see from the rest of the document, it's just going to outline some of the tech stack that I went back and forward with Claude to actually work out what I would need. So it's just giving it more context, and it's just really pinning down exactly how it's going to be built. All right, as I said earlier, here's our little prompt that we're going to give to Claude Code just to get it to plan this out. As I said, I think a good plan before building is actually really useful. It just gets it really well grounded. So yeah, looks great. Seems like it understood it well. I think we can go ahead and auto accept it here. Yeah, seems to be no actual issues. So great. Okay, so after a couple of minutes there, Claude seems to have come back with what looks like will be our starting web app. Okay, so yeah, it actually looks pretty good. I do like the kind of radiating heat map style of feature. I did try to get it to go for more of a heat map style instead of kind of blocky tile kind of style to show the occurrence. But other than that, yeah, I really like it. Okay, so we're currently on the radiated slider. Let's try search something else. It seems to be okay. I will say that the loading time is a bit slow, and I don't like the way over there in the top left hand corner we have to type in the name manually. I prefer to see it visually, but for the gray scroll anyway, it seems to look good. So just in terms of design and aesthetic, I'd much rather that we have a kind of sidebar on the right hand side, which would have the individual species pictures and names. So it'd just be so much better looking and easier to use in order to scroll and actually find that species that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and give this quick little prompt over to Claude and see if it's going to make that sidebar. So Claude Code has come back with the output, and it seems to be a huge improvement, both visually and aesthetically. It's just so much better being able to actually see these species on the right hand side as we're scrolling through here. So let's go ahead and test one out. We'll just choose the Sika deer. Okay, so looks good, the habitat range, everything like that. Yeah, looks absolutely perfect. So yeah, just switching around between species here, it seems to be working really, really well. It's decent load time, looks good. Okay, so the app in its most basic form works and performs exactly as intended. It looks really, really great, and it works well too. But the next step to add more complexity, as I said earlier, is going to be adding live satellite data. So this way we can toggle from the OpenStreetMap onto a satellite-based map. So to add live satellite data, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem over here. You're going to log in or create an account if you do not already have one. When logged in, you're going to want to come over to Dashboards and then just click on Sentinel Hub beneath Dashboards. And when you're in Dashboards, all you want to do is go down on the left hand side to User Settings. And perfect. When you're in User Settings, all you want to do is go over to OAuth Clients and create a new client. Now, what that's going to give you is going to give you two things, a client ID and a client secret. you want to make sure you're copying both of these so we can bring them back over to Claude Code. Okay, so once you've gone and created your new OAuth client credentials, you're going to want to come back over to Claude Code and you're going to want to give it some prompt along these lines, essentially getting to it to create a .env file to store your information in. Instead of giving it the details in the chat, all you want to do is just ask it for a placeholder instead, and it should be good to go. So perfect, Claude Code has gone and created us a .env.local file, as you can see here, and we have our Copernicus client ID and client secret. And all we want to do here is remove the placeholder with the actual keys. Okay, so the next step is to actually tell Claude Code that we have created the .env.local file with our OAuth client credentials inside, so we can go ahead and update the app to have live satellite imagery available. Okay, wow, it looks really, really good. Okay, so if we were to go and find a species, taking a little bit time to, okay, so there was an error. It seems to have come up okay now. Seems to switch all right between the two modes, the two satellite maps. I will say the font being the same color is a bit annoying. Maybe let's try another species as well, might help. Okay, so that one's not working. The mink is not working. Okay, interesting. Okay, so there seems to be kind of three main issues that's going on with the site right now. One, it's too slow to load. Two, certain species don't seem to actually load at all. And then three is that the font on the left-hand side is unreadable. All right, so it seems like the fix was quite good. The font looks good. These guys are showing up here, all good. And it says the load time's down, which feels, it feels better. So it seems to be all fixed. Okay, so now that we've gone ahead and actually just kind of patched up some of the things surrounding the app, what we want to do now is implement the final and kind of major change that this whole video is based on, which is the prediction system. So I've given Claude kind of a lengthy-ish prompt here, describing it what I kind of imagine this to be like, giving it some creative license as well. What I'm hoping this can kind of be is, say, a prediction system of the likelihood that the invasive species spreads into the surrounding areas over the next year. We'll keep it to a year. I think it's kind of standardizes everything, just makes it all a bit easier to understand. So we'll go ahead, give it to Claude and see if you can whip it up. Well, this seems to be absolutely perfect. Yeah. It's gone ahead and it's kind of implemented my idea, possibly taken on its own style a bit, which is absolutely fine, but it looks like it did a good job here. Let's see what we can, okay, nice, it's over there. Okay, a bit blocky, a bit tiley. I like this though, obviously it has the actual prediction mechanism based on the kind of color. Darkest red being its current habitat and then kind of emanating from there to lighter colors of lesser % chance of being there in the next year. It's solid. I don't like the blockiness of it. I'll change that, but looks good. Okay, as I said at the start, I don't really like the tile feature. That's why I was glad at the start that it wasn't implemented. So the improved heat map for where the invasive species will invade over the next coming year looks absolutely fine, looks perfect, much better than the kind of tile blocky feature it was before. However, as you can see here, there is no percentage value of how likely the species is to spread in there over the next year. Which is obviously the whole point of this. So let's go ahead and fix that really quickly. All right, perfect. Great fix, nice and simple. We have our lovely percentage points in the lighter areas for where the species will invade over the next coming year. And obviously the darker areas is where the species is currently, their inhabited range. Honestly, that's pretty much it. That is essentially what this application can do. Nice and simple. Look, it's not groundbreaking in any way, but what it does do, it makes this process so much easier, and it kind of just gives an insight into how invasive species work. And a sort of prediction mechanism, obviously it's not 100% accurate, but a sort of prediction mechanism to show where they might invade over the coming year. So while it's quite simplified now, what we could do is add sort of complexities and different layers upon it. One way to do this would be to integrate some sort of feature that would allow you to track invasive species coming in from other countries. So let's say we were to go over to the UK or Europe over here, but say just like GBIF, right? There was some sort of public facing data about shipping lanes, transportation from other countries, different ways invasive species actually get into the country. But say there was kind of some sort of public API around that. It would be super simple to integrate that into Claude Code, public or not, if you have to log in. Nonetheless, it'd be super simple to integrate something like that into this application to Claude Code. And then it would be able to kind of use that in terms of a greater chance of a prediction mechanism for these incoming invasive species. That's just one of the things, again, you could possibly integrate in. There's so many options with Claude Code. It just makes everything so much simpler. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, got something out of it. Again, quite a simplified build, looks really nice, and it's pretty cool. So thank you so much for watching.